So which coins are trending up? Today we'll do a trend and chart analysis of 10 coins that we've analyzed before on this channel and a few new wild cards. Bitcoin first, because almost all altcoin price action versus the dollar starts and ends with Bitcoin price action. If the previous cycles will repeat themselves this time, the BTC bottom is in. The retracement has been very similar to the previous two times. And if the duration is any guide, we could look forward to new all-time highs sometime in early 2024. But that doesn't mean that's the time to buy. If we look at the previous cycles, the time to buy has been kind of around here. And with that in mind, I have two main scenarios from here. The first one being that what we're seeing now is the formation of the right shoulder. Left shoulder, head to this support and up, or perhaps down to this support and up. Or we're going to get more manipulated than that, and the whales will play a Wyckoff trick on us and run the price down below the previous low, called the spring, to shake everyone out, get new people to short here, then run it back inside into the trading range. But remember, those are scenarios. Unlike most other people, I don't need to predict the future. It's far more accurate and profitable to just react to what actually happens instead. So if this doesn't play out, I just change my mind. That's an idea that beginners generally cannot absorb, and is the number one reason why they lose money. They hang on to the idea that you must predict the future of markets. Then, if reality doesn't happen as they predicted, which one do you think they follow? Reality or their prediction? They follow their prediction. I follow the reality. Which one do you think will work the best? They usually do this one full cycle. Then they realize it was harder to predict the future than they thought. Anyway, for the altcoins, we will mainly look at the charts versus Bitcoin. So for example, for Ethereum, we will look at ETH BTC. Why is that? Well, it's because if we look at the Ethereum versus USD chart and compare it with the BTC USD chart from, say, September, they look almost the same. Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin. And you will find that to more or less extent if you look at almost all the altcoins. How the coin as such is doing becomes muddled by the price action of Bitcoin. While if you look at ETH versus BTC, you see much clearer what is really going on. You see that Ethereum has been basically flat against Bitcoin for almost 2 years now. This chart is a much crisper illustration of that fact. So you can see that during this period it doesn't matter if you have Bitcoin or Ethereum. While if this chart had been in a strong uptrend, and with bullish chart constructions, like in this period, it would make sense to move any Bitcoin exposure over to Ethereum. And if this chart had been in a downtrend, like it was during this period, there's no need to look at ETH to USD at all, because if you're considering crypto exposure, it's better to have it in Bitcoin, if at all. And if Bitcoin versus dollar looks really bad, like it did for 1 year here, basically the entire of last year, while this ETH versus BTC chart is flat, it doesn't make sense to hold either, neither Bitcoin nor Ethereum. This is a longer discussion, but that's the juice of it. So for the ETH to BTC chart, what we're really looking for here, the actionable event from here, is a breakout through this resistance area at the top. If that happens, that could really shake up crypto to the core, because then the target of this chart puts Ethereum ahead of Bitcoin in terms of market cap. And what happens then? I don't know, but it would be interesting for sure. But the breakout hasn't happened yet. BNB to BTC has started looking quite different recently from the previous period. First, this support level at 0.014 that acted as support several times, flipped resistance here in February. Then that same thing happened again at 0.013. You can see here how this level was support here, was support here, support here, support here. Then that support broke and now it's become resistance instead. You see that very clearly here, right? The trend has turned down, and while it's not orthodox correct, it could even be argued that this is a confirmed head and shoulder top. So while I like Binance, this chart does not look great at the moment. Probably a result of all the FUD. there are people selling. Solana to BTC has been a very clear chart for a long time. First, it was in this straight parabolic uptrend through the entire of 2021. Larsson Line was gold, trend was up, the parabola broke, Larsson Line turned down. Then for basically the entire of 2022, the trend was down. And from the top to the bottom, even on the BTC chart, this dropped 90%. And on the USD chart, it dropped a whopping 97%. But then something changed here. Trend turned hesitating up, but price hasn't really followed through. It's now looking for new support at around 0.0009. I would want to see some more clarity on this one, if this support will hold or if it will retest the previous support one more time. Cardano ADA is a much clearer chart. After the uptrend ended, where I basically gave you the exit on the day ahead of the fact, if you were following the channel at that time in 2021, then this went into downtrend. It came back, it reclaimed this 2000 sats support, but couldn't hold it, fell down again, and right now the price is sitting on this doomsday support, which you can see here goes all the way back here to 2020. Started as resistance, became support here, support, 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 and right now price is right at that support. If this support fails too, there is unfortunately still a lot of downside in this chart. Next support will probably be around here or here, looking at the volume profile. One of the most interesting charts today is the Polygon MATIC chart. Trend is up on both the 3-day and the 1-day candle timeframes. And you don't need to know any technical analysis to see what is going on here. Price has attempted multiple times to break through this resistance area. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, now 4th time. And again it got rejected, back down from the resistance area. But should this break out, retest and hold, that would be a high confidence entry with a clear invalidation, the kind of entries that I like. XRP, formerly known as Ripple, is a very simple chart. It remains in this huge range. Of course, there's quite some leeway from the top to the bottom of the range. Range trading here might even make sense for those who are into that. But if we zoom out even further, we see that price measured in BTC today is basically the same as it was in 2014, more than 8 years ago. Isn't that astonishing? But trends have no significance inside a range. What you'd be looking for here is a breakout on the downside with a trend down if you're into shorting, or a breakout on the upside with a trend up if you want to get into spot. Because then you can put the validation back in the trading range and you have created perhaps an asymmetric risk-reward setup. Thorchain RUNE, I think, is a very interesting project from a technical perspective. It's the only really working layer 1 DEX. That chart is also very interesting. Basically had this huge run up, straight line on the log chart. Actually started earlier than that, but on this exchange, that's 500x up on the BTC chart, more on the USD chart. Then it started to decline and it remains in that phase. It lost this very clear support level, which held so many times. Then it lost it here in September 2022, went almost down to the support below, rejected before that previous support resistance level, and now again moving down back to this support. I think this remains a very interesting project, and sometimes when these projects actually fall out of the attention spotlight, they back up. Perhaps we can snipe an entry at support and catch a beginning of another uptrend. I will definitely continue to monitor that one. Another coin that many of you are asking about is Haven XHV. On the technical side, that's too big of a scope for this video. If you just look at the TA versus BTC, this coin remains in a downtrend on the 3-day chart as well as on the 1-day chart. And we see pretty clearly what has happened since last spring. It basically went into this range, it tried a breakout, but it fell down back into the range, and it's still there. If anyone did a breakout here, that was a valid entry from a technical analysis perspective. Trend was up, it broke out of the range, and it almost reached the target. If you measure this distance and you put it on top here, it almost reached it, but not quite, and it fell back into the range, and you would basically get stopped out here if you took a trade like that on the BTC chart. Of course, if you took the trade on the USD chart, you wouldn't be stopped out yet because Bitcoin has gone up in terms of the dollar. On the USD chart, this one is painting a head and shoulders here. It hasn't confirmed yet. But if this neckline breaks, that would be a confirmation. Something else that's very interesting to study is the Bitcoin dominance. The ideal scenario would be a Bitcoin-led rally. What does that mean? It means that Bitcoin goes up against the USD at the same time as the Bitcoin dominance climbs. Something like this. That people are FOMOing into Bitcoin because everyone is talking about Bitcoin at that time. All the news articles are about Bitcoin going up. The TV will talk about Bitcoin going up. Then even if the altcoin is also going up, people still sell altcoin, FOMO into Bitcoin because it seems like that's more important for some reason, even though it's the same percentage gain. And if that happens, this chart starts to climb. Then after this big run up, as Bitcoin starts to flatten out, people get bored, they want even more gains. 10% up per day is not enough, people want 100% up per day, so they sell their Bitcoin, buy altcoins, Bitcoin dominance falls down because the altcoins are less liquid. So if someone takes $1,000 worth of Bitcoin and sells those, nothing happens to the Bitcoin price. But then they take those $1,000 and buy some random low cap altcoin, then the price goes up 100%, even though it's the same money. If that history repeats itself, we know exactly the playbook. First we ride Bitcoin as this trends up, then we move over to altcoins as it starts trending down again. Of course, we don't know for sure if it will play out, but if it starts to happen, we can probably spot it. It hasn't really done that yet. It has bounced many times here on this 39% level. It did move up a little bit, but these are tiny moves. It's 44% only. Then there's the argument that we should exclude the stable coins. But even if we do that, this ratio hasn't really broken up yet. While the trend is up and it has moved up from this support level to this support level, it's bumping up against its resistance, which broke out one time, but failed and came down. Perhaps another breakout here could be significant, indicating that maybe Bitcoin exposure makes more sense than altcoin exposure, if that breakout happens. If you look at which coins has had the highest gains the past week, Maker comes near the top of the list, which makes sense because there's a lot of worry from a lot of people, including myself, about the stable coins that have a centralized authority. Perhaps the future is the decentralized stablecoin after all, which Maker has. However, the chart is quite lackluster. It keeps hugging this level that kept being support, then it was resistance, then support again, now it's resistance again, now price is moving up to that level again at around 0.05. There's no conclusive uptrend, no breakout, and breakouts have kept failing across this level. While if someone is more optimistic, could argue that this has been a support that held, still this is not very clear cut. Then today I will make at least one person very happy. There is this guy who without fail has sent me a message, a daily reminder to look at KAS. Every single day, every single day, every single day for over a month. Now, I did actually look at it first time you sent it. Unfortunately, I was so unimpressed by the website, which was just reiterating the same buzzwords 100 other protocols are using. It does have some technical innovation, basically relying on proof of work similar to Bitcoin, but removing the restriction that one block can only point to one other block, and instead it can point to multiple other blocks. And then takes a stab at trying to solve this trilemma of security, throughput, and decentralization. Looking at the technology, it makes sense. No pre-mine, no allocated coins. The reason I wasn't so initially excited was that I couldn't really find any information about adoption, because great technology today only gets us that far. There's a lot of great layer ones that are really heavily funded, and those VCs are going to pay developers to develop applications on their protocol, to try to roll the stone up the hill so that it starts hopefully rolling down on the other side of the mountain, picking up more and more snow as it rolls down, more developers, more usage, more applications, and growing the ecosystem. Perhaps it's there, perhaps I just didn't find it. But our guy here has actually been right, because price action since he started sending these messages has been great. This is the USD chart, and if we look at the BTC chart, there was actually a solid entry here on February 23rd, when our guy has kept sending these messages for already a month. Can you see it? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, breakout with the trend up, Larsson Line gold. Doesn't get prettier than that. That target has already been met. And right now, price is eyeing a breakout through all-time high. Perhaps that could be another entry if you look at this from a pure TA perspective. But this one isn't some micro cap or something. Market cap is already $200 million. With these high-risk projects, I feel there has to be at least a 10x upside or it won't make sense. So 200 million times 10x is 2 billion, which would put it ahead of Aptos, Near Protocol, Algorand, and so on. So some really successful projects. Can it go there? I don't know. It needs to figure out some way to gain adoption in that case, I think. But this was a solid entry. Our guy in the inbox was right. Another wildcard that was discussed a lot last month was this one, which has the worst name in all of crypto. IMGNAI, which I guess stands for Image Generate AI. So it was this one that you probably saw at the time because it was all over social media.
What?
Real.
These are all fake?
Yeah, like look at even that's not a real door kind of to begin with.
Wow.
The hands or the fingers here are a little off.
That's insane. And so this is right now just still images and eventually it'll be film.
And what's interesting with this one from a TA perspective is this. At first it had this huge run up. And by the way, this is this coin versus ETH, because I think it's mainly trading against Ethereum. So it's the same idea as altcoin versus BTC charts, it's just against ETH instead. And then you see that it first had this parabolic advance where it basically went up against ETH 50,000%. That's 500x. Then the parabola broke, as often happens with these altcoins, which is usually followed by at least 80% retracement, which it has now done. And sometimes what happens with these projects is that after the initial hype, after the initial run-up, people kind of forget about it, while suddenly the team has a lot of money, perhaps they can now go and actually build something. And this chart can find support somewhere, here or here or here, enabling an entry for a second leg up. In terms of market cap, this one is still tiny, 8 million or 11 million fully diluted. Frankly, almost all the altcoin charts look pretty meh. I tried hard to find one that looks truly great, and one that I came across is this one, Trust Wallet TWT. And contrary to what I said in the beginning, let's start by looking at the USD chart on this one, because here is a textbook ascending triangle. You can see it here, right? High lows, high lows, high lows, all the time bumping up against the same horizontal boundary at around $1.30. Then that broke up violently. It retested that horizontal boundary multiple times here, painting something that looks very close to a head and shoulder, which would be bearish if it confirms. But if it doesn't confirm, if this one breaks up on the upside, invalidating this right shoulder, that would be an almost ideal entry from a TA perspective, because there's a clear invalidation level if we break this neckline, and we'd invalidate it very close to that neckline, and the target from this ascending triangle is multiple X up from here, but that's on the USD chart. How about the BTC chart? Well, that looks pretty clear also. You don't need to know anything to see that this is a straight line up on the log chart, which so far is uninterrupted. And right now we're right at it. So if that trend line holds another time, that looks very interesting. If this breaks and this horizontal neckline breaks on the USD chart, the setup is invalidated and there's a chance to get out with very minimal damage done. What I don't like about this one is that the market cap is already really big, 500 million. I would have wished this was a small cap. So I don't know how far this one can go. I don't know if the fundamentals, what they're actually doing, motivates another 10x upside from here, but the chart is interesting. So this is how I usually reason. This is how I go over the different chart, look for some opportunity. You don't need to surf all the waves in the ocean. Scammers are running wild on all the platforms. If you're interested in my course and Larsson Line for Bitcoin and altcoin markets, I have only one website and it's ctolarsson.com. You go there and you press course and indicator here. That's the only place you can get it. Everything else is a scam. Thank you, Tuck. CTO Larsson out. Hej då.